Shawna and Jody here with Real Sisters, Real Talk.
We're glad to have you joining us as we talk about growing in our faith with God. Hey, welcome back to Real Sisters, Real Talk. I'm Jody, and here in the studio with my sister Shawna, and we've been having such a wonderful time just sharing life and catching up. And I feel like it's different than talking on the phone, and so we talk about this all the time. We love to sit with a cup of coffee, and we have done a lot of cup of coffees. So it's been really a joy. But we've gotten to share some things going on in life and cry together multiple times already. And then we've gotten to share some really exciting things that are going in life and celebrate together. And that's such a joy for us as well. And Shawna, you actually have some super exciting news going on right now.
I have big news. Yeah. My oldest daughter, who lives in the Czech Republic, is getting married.
Yay. We're so excited for her.
Oh my goodness, so thrilled for her. She has just met a wonderful, godly man who's the perfect fit for her. They just make a beautiful couple. They're so like-minded in hearts and ministry, and yeah, we're thrilled. So the wedding will be in the Czech Republic. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. So is that a lot different as far as like the planning of a wedding and what that looks like? I mean, it's so foreign to us,
right?
Because we know what we know, right?
Yeah, it's foreign to me too. I'm learning as we go, as they start to make plans. You know, there's definitely a civil ceremony that will take place prior to the actual wedding, where you invite people to come and be a part of it. And so that's different for us. But what's different for them is the fact that they're two separate things. It's more of a legal transaction
to begin with, and then maybe the spiritual.
Yeah, right.
Bringing together.
And they have a lot of different traditions too, which will be really fun. One of the traditions is they put put the couple side by side, and they put like a huge kind of tablecloth around them. And they have to feed each other a bowl of soup, and they have to, like one bowl of soup, they share it, but they have to feed it to each other and finish this bowl of soup at the reception.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting.
I know, but it's kind of like, so the bride throws her bouquet and all the girls try to catch it. You know, you say that in another culture, and they're like,
what?
Why is she throwing her flowers?
When you clink their glass, they have to kiss. Like, what?
So they have different traditions like that, so that'll be kind of fun too.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, and I mean, part of the difference of planning stateside, we use Amazon so much for my other daughter's wedding. Like,
yes.
We ordered stuff.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
No, we will not delay for $225. Yeah, tomorrow.
Exactly. A lot of DIYs, we do it ourselves, like made these little wooden bead chains for decor, and all that kind of stuff. And so things are not quite as accessible. My kids remind me all the time, Mom, we don't live in America where you get the Amazon package sometimes same day.
Oh my goodness, yes we do.
Yeah, or the next day. If I've got to wait 48 hours, I'm like, oh, for the love.
What is happening to Amazon?
Right? But it's not that way in the Czech Republic or in Australia. For Bryn, when she even orders a package, it doesn't get delivered to her door.
Oh, you're
She
kidding.
gets a notification that there is a package waiting for her, and she has to go to the location and pick up the package and whatnot. So that's a part of the process that will be different in planning for the wedding too.
For sure. Is a cultural thing. You talk about the immediate, we order something and sometimes we have it the same day. Sometimes we order something and we have it in 2 hours.
Right.
Because, it has to happen now, immediate. We have that with things here. We also have it with information. I mean, we were trying to figure something out the other day where we needed a phone number, and we were on the phone. We were in 2 different locations, and we were on speakerphone, and one of our sisters was on speakerphone at another location, and we need this phone number. It's like, no problem. We just Google it real quick and get the information we want. Within seconds, that information is in our hands, and we pass it along. Like, that's literally the way. I mean, it's even to the point now where, somebody will say, like, what year did that war happen?
Yeah, exactly. Or like, I've got these goals, for the wedding. I want to lose a few pounds or whatever, and I want to get in shape. And so, AI, will you create for me a workout? I'm this year old. I'm 56. I have no shame in saying it. I'm 56 years old. I weigh this. I won't tell you that. I am this tall. This is my schedule, my work schedule. I need a workout schedule that's full body, that's going to include cardio and a diet plan for, like a food plan. Go ahead and just make me a menu for 3 meals a day for 2 weeks that I can repeat 10 seconds later, if even that long.
Yeah, it's shorter than the time it took you to type in the question.
Or say that.
Yeah, right?
All the things, right? Yeah, and I think one of the things that is doing to us is we just don't have the opportunities to train to be patient and wait, and we have a higher expectancy of things happening
now
very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, even in dating, and maybe it's just different because I was dating so very long ago than how dating is now. It's like back in the day, you could go to a movie or just go get some ice cream you were just enjoying each other's company. It seems to me, and it could be just my context,
right,
that dating today, you just go really deep, really fast.
Yeah, that's true.
There's an accelerated momentum or pace to our lives, and to not even just what we expect as far as like packages being delivered or information being at our fingertips, but I think sometimes even in what we expect from each other relationally.
Right.
We want to fast track everything. We want it to happen faster than what it takes.
Yeah. When you said relationally, I was thinking like communication, but so like even a text, we send a text and we do expect an answer immediately. But yes, relationally, we want to get to a place relationally faster than what it actually takes to create relationship.
Yes.
And so and then that translates to our spiritual walk as well, right? Like we want to get to a place spiritually with the Lord, relationally with the Lord, maturity in our faith with a snap of a finger, without going through the process of doing the work and learning the things to have a more intimate relationship with God and to build the roots. Like if you think about a tree and how many years it takes for the roots to go down. Johnny and I, we bought the house we're living in now 8.5 years ago, and he has planted so many trees. My husband has such a good green thumb, and he's planted, so we have so many fruit trees, which I love, love, love. But sometimes they don't happen fast enough for him. And so he's like, I planted that one 2 years ago and we're still not getting fruit. But it takes time and you have to water it and tend to it and all of those things, which he does so faithfully, but it takes time for the roots to grow. And so the same thing translates to our relationship with God. Like we need to invest in our relationship with him. It takes time for that to happen.
Yeah, there is no 10-minute tree.
We can't put it in the instant pot or in the microwave. It doesn't work that way. This is so silly, but I remember my son saying it one time when he started. He's an excellent cook. So is his wife. Actually, all of our kids are. My son-in-law and daughter too, really, really good cooks. But I remember my son saying one time, I just kind of learned that not everything has to be on full power. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, you are so right. Like, heating up is not just on high. I literally never used the other levels of my microwave for many, many years. It was like, hi, make it fast.
Yeah.
Do it quick.
That's what a microwave's for.
It's got to get it done. The burner is on high. Let's get that thing moving.
Goodness.
And I've changed the way that I do things. Like something as simple as we scrambled some eggs this morning, and it's like, I do that on low because they actually taste better when you do it. But that's not the way of our culture.
That is such a very practical image of how fast we expect things.
Yeah.
Brian Regan is a comedian.
Yes.
It's just hilarious.
So
but
funny.
He's got this Pop-Tart bit, and he says that on the Pop-Tart box, there's like instructions for, putting it in the toaster. And then there's like microwave instructions. And his bit is like, listen, if you don't have time to toast your Pop-Tart, you need to create some space in your calendar. Because,
Amen.
come on. You know, who needs to zap a Pop-Tart?
Right?
Like, yeah.
That is a whole nother level of problem.
So in our impatience and our desire to be mature, and the fact that we've got, I think, oftentimes too, we think that information equals spiritual maturity, and
that is not
it does
true.
not. That could be a whole podcast in and of itself.
Yes.
But yeah, we can look at so many stories in Scripture where we see it took time.
Yes.
Spiritual maturity took time. I think about Joseph. He's one of my favorites, so I bring him up a
Yes.
lot. But he was given a dream as a teenage boy, and it took years of, like, God needed to mature him out of his arrogance and give him some skills and opportunities to learn to lead and to manage. And that happened in prison, and that happened in slavery, and in abuse, in mistreatment. And none of these things are things that we would want, and none of these things are things that God would want for us. But he can take even the most horrific things and draw us close to his heart and bring about greater reliance on him.
Right.
I mean, even in like the smallest moments, like the part of Joseph's life where at one point, you know, temptation was just right in front of him. A woman was, his boss's wife was just throwing herself at him, and he fled. And his response for fleeing was, not only could I not do that against my boss, but how could I do that against God?
Mm-hmm.
That's where his heart was at. And you just see that God was nurturing not just the skill sets needed to save an entire nation, but his own character.
Yeah.
And character building is it's not a 10-second, 10-minute, 24-hour process.
Nope. And it's not easy, and sometimes it's not fun, but it is so important. Joseph's story is the perfect example of that. I would imagine if I was in Joseph's shoes, there would be times where I would say, you know, God, you gave me that dream. What in the world is going on here? But he persevered. He leaned in. I mean, as far as we know in his story, he stayed steadfast through the process. Like he probably had some ups and downs, but he was all in, and he followed the Lord and did the work to grow and to be a man of character and a man of God in every stage of where he was, no matter where he was. And that grew him to, if he had been at 17, the young man who went to his brothers and said, hey, guess what dream I had? Leading Egypt and saving the people in famine, that's not the leader we would have wanted.
100%.
So it took all those years of growth for him to get there, which, again, we want to put it in a microwave. I see the same thing in the life of Moses, Shawna's favorite character, Joseph, which I love Joseph, my favorite character, Moses, in the Bible. And, you know, he spent 40 years in the Pharaoh's home in Egypt, learning the ways of the Pharaoh and the ways of Egypt. He spent 40 years in Midian, tending to his father-in-law's flock out in the desert around Mount Sinai, right there. And then he spent the next 40 years leading the Israelites in that same desert. And you just think, okay, it might happen, you know, from chapter 12 to chapter 13, but it is a lot of years that are covered in there. And it took time. It took perseverance. There were many times of doubt and going to God. What is your plan here? All of that growth that took place in him. That also makes me think of when my kids were young, you know, teenage, junior high-ish. I had a dear friend in my life at that time, and I remember her asking me, there was a couple disappointments that took place for Ty right in a row, and she just said, how do you handle that? That's so hard to see your son get disappointed and not get what you wanted for him. And I love the question because it made me actually put some words to it. And I said, yeah, it is hard. And yes, I do cry over that. Like that as a mom, my heart just aches. But I also recognize that in that difficult time, in the things of life that are coming his way, God is building character in my son, and he's growing him to become who he wants him to be as an adult. And I want nothing else for his story. As hard as this might be, I want nothing else for his story. So my heart, like if I got to write my kids' stories, they would not have a lot of ups and downs in their lives. It would be a really good ride, and they would be people with really no character, and they wouldn't have the depth of their faith that they have today. Even today, as adults, married, and our son with children, our daughter married as well, if I could make their lives easier, boy, would I. But I also see how God's at work.
Yeah. In just reflecting on Joseph's story and Moses' story, and even the things that you were talking about that Tyler had to walk through and stuff, it's standing out to me how critical humility is to maturity.
Right.
Like those were all experiences to grow in humility. And that was absolutely necessary for them to accomplish the things that God had for them to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, humility. And then I also see obedience.
Right.
Right?
It makes me wonder in my own life, like if I truly do want to, I don't want to circle the same mountain again and again and again and again and again, right? If I'm wanting to expedite, move forward in what God is teaching me, just real time, I'm feeling like a really good question might be, or, posture might be, to humble myself and say, Lord, what do you want me to see? What do you want me to know out of this circumstance? And that not that we're trying to make it go faster, but we don't want it to make it go longer. It's going to take what it's going to take. But if humility is that key to spiritual maturity, I want to get to humility quicker.
100%. So yes, it's going to take what it's going to take. We can't put it in the microwave, but I can also dig my feet in and stay in the same place for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because I won't listen to the correction that God is bringing. So I literally have had multiple times of that happening, but even a recent time where there was something that was stirred, and I said, Lord, please show me the correction that I need here, because, and the motivation, because I don't want to have to do this again.
Yeah.
A year from now.
Right.
I want to learn and hear you. So yeah, there's humility in that. And which, shouldn't there always be humility in our relationship with God?
So I'm keep going like upstream. So if spiritual maturity is the goal, honestly, being like Jesus is the goal.
Yeah.
We want to reflect him in all ways. So spiritual maturity is the goal, and then humility leads to spiritual maturity. What comes before humility is what I'm thinking. This is how my brain works.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you have a thought on that?
I have a thought.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what you have, your process in that. Okay, I'll share my thought, but
Yeah.
I don't want you to lose what you were thinking. My thought was about, is in Jeremiah, there's a psalm about it. I think it's even in Isaiah, a tree planted by water where the roots go deep. And so the truth is, I need to be planted in the presence of God in order for the roots to go deep. I need to be seeking him, and in his presence I need to be reading his word. And we talk about these holy habits all the time, reading God's word, prayer, sitting quiet with him, memorizing all the things that draw us closer to the Lord. That's, I think, where it starts.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts in that as you were?
I think the thing that comes before humility, for me, the thing that comes before humility is exactly what you're talking about, is being rooted in everything that God says is true. Because if I feel like, and we did a whole episode on our identity not being our identity and our value being found in who Christ is and no place else. But the more I feel like I have to perform well, which is something that I struggle with, right? Feeling like somehow my value is connected to my performance. I know it's not true. It's just a battle that I fight in standing on the truth of what God says, even when I feel like my value is connected to how I'm performing. So the more that I believe what God says about that my value is not at stake, the more I can own my stuff and be honest about what is, which is humility.
Right.
So if I feel like I have to protect that, I'm going to be slower to get to humility because my identity's on the line, my value's on the line here, and I will fight for that because I need to convince myself that it's true.
Yes.
Instead of believing that everything that God says is true. And I don't have to convince myself or anybody else. I can just stand on what already is.
Yep.
Because of who God is. Then I'm quicker to go to humility and be able to see. Because if you don't have humility, you're not going to be able to receive criticism or even necessarily truth. You might just want to paint a rosy color over that truth.
Defend, or
make it look not as ugly as it actually is.
Yeah.
So, honesty, I think, is an important part of an identity leading to humility.
So, honestly, like as our conversation has gone, I think we can't put spiritual growth, spiritual maturity in the microwave and speed it, like make it happen in 30 seconds. But we sure can approach it in a very intentional way that makes us move forward and not get stuck. And we certainly want to be about that. We don't want to be about trying to bypass the process so that we can just arrive at a spiritually mature person. That's not going to happen. There are these steps of humility and surrender and obedience and all those things that take place in our maturity. Such a good word. And it doesn't end. And we don't stop learning this lesson. Yeah. We have not stopped learning this lesson.
Not yet, and we've had a few years of experience between the two of us. So you are on the road to becoming more like Jesus, being more loving and more kind and more gentle and all the ways of Him as you are honest about how you show up in relationship with Him. Start with humility and let Him lead you into spiritual maturity. That's where we want to be. So thank you for spending some time with us. It was good to be with you. Just want to remind you, as we always do, that we serve a real God, and He really loves you.